Are you winning? Do you need help in your life or business? Could you use some inspiration, business strategies, and success principles? I'm Daniel Gomez, award-winning business coach, keynote speaker, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you create a successful life and elevate your business. Together, we will discover the keys that unlock your success and dreams. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, where we're going to have an amazing, fun episode for you today. I just feel the vibe here, right? I know sometimes we're serious about education and inspiration, but we're going to definitely inspire you. But we're going to have some fun today because I got an amazing sister in Christ with me, an amazing coach. She speaks all over the world, and we just vibe together. I'm just like, right? It's like we're coming on live. We're laughing for the first 10 minutes even before we start recording, and so let's record some of this stuff. So let's welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, Miss Arletta Allen. Woo! What's going on, Arletta?
What's up? What's up? What's up? How you feeling today?
Man,
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited. I'm really I'm like, you know what? Me and you had an amazing conversation a couple of weeks back. I said, we need you. I need you on my show, right? I need your energy. I need that beautiful smile, that God smile. Look at that. That's $1 million smile. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to know what $1 million smile looks like? If you're not watching this on YouTube, well, then you got to go watch it on YouTube if you listen to it on Spotify and iTunes. But there's a beautiful $1 million smile with Arletta Allen. Woo!
Yes. Such a blessing to have so much to smile about.
It's not always you have $2 million smiles on one show. So I feel blessed today.
I love that.
Do me a favor. Introduce yourself, Arletta, to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, please.
Well, my name is Arletta Allen, and I am a communications development coach as well as an authenticity queen, is what I'm known as out here in the speaker industry streets. I absolutely love people. I love inspiring people. I love helping people and assisting people in reaching their next level in this life. So many of us have a story to share, and I feel like I'm like a midwife. I'm the person that comes alongside you, and I help to push that thing out. Whatever that vision is, whatever that dream or goal is, I walk alongside you until we have a safe delivery into the world where it belongs, helping, inspiring, uplifting, and encouraging other people. God bless you, Daniel. I'm so happy.
You're like a midwife. Oh, we're about to have a baby here, a baby. But you know what? You're so right. So many people, we share the same heart because at Sticker Shock, I forgot to change my background. So bad thing on Daniel, but it's all good, right? I'm like, wrong event. That event's over already. But like the world needs to hear your story.
Yeah.
And so many people, Arletta, they don't realize how valuable their story is. They're ashamed of it. They don't talk about it. And why is
I've experienced that over and over again. It's mainly because of the fact that different levels of trauma that people experience in their life story. And that trauma can cause a lot of pain. It can cause a lot of struggle, and it can cause the reflection of what they see when they look at themselves, making them feel unworthy. So a lot of times people hide their stories. They hide the different aspects of their story. Now, they'll share some pieces with you, but then there's those deep, darker pieces that they feel that the world may cause even more rejection if they were to open up and share that this is where I come from. This is what I've experienced. And this is what has helped me to become who I am today. And I feel that when you have a story, even a story like mine, where you've navigated your way from poverty and prostitution, and you've made it to the pinnacle of prosperity simply by being yourself, practicing authenticity daily, and loving people along the way, because I believe that love is a thing that solves everything in the world. And maybe it's because of who my daddy is. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is, because God is love and that's my daddy. And so because of that, I feel that there is nothing that love can't solve. And so I make it a habit of pouring love onto people. So those scars, those wounds, those flaws, I help people to see it through the correct lens. And it's the fact that those are the things that built you. Those are the things that made you. You are a masterpiece because you are a piece of the master. And I want people to never, ever, ever forget that. That makes you brilliant in every aspect.
Woo, I told you she's going to bring the fire. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where I say, get out your pen, get out your paper because you need to take some notes. You need to take some notes on this episode because Arletta's going to bring the fire. She's going to bring it. And like we always say on the Daniel Gomez Inspires show, you retain over 50% of the information when you write this stuff down. So write
Yes,
it
write it.
down. Man,
Yes.
you just, right? I'm trying to dissect what you just said, but there's so much you said that was good that I don't know where to start. But the right is that your story is amazing, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen. And what Arletta's gonna share today is really just her heart with you. Listen to what she said. She's talking about. I mean, you might have missed it, but like you talked about coming from prostitution, now your prosperity.
Yeah.
I talked about suicide on stage here the other day, 2 days ago, and it's like you got to talk about those things because this is my perspective, and I want your insight on this. Is we think we're the only ones going through
Mm.
rape. We think that we're the only ones going through domestic violence. We think we're the only ones going through alcoholism. We think we're the only ones that try to commit suicide. So we hide it in shame. But the truth is, people need to hear this because there's more people that are hurting that need to hear our story. Talk to us about that, Arletta, if you don't mind.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And I think it's the part of isolation because the enemy is tricky. You know, that slewfoot Satan, he is tricky. And the thing that he does is that he isolates us in our shame. He isolates us in quiet places because he knows that if he can get you away from the pack, that it's an easier target. You're easier to destroy if you keep yourself in hiding, if you keep yourself in shame, if you keep yourself away from the people you've been called to serve. And so my thing is this: we have to keep into perspective that our lives are not our own. That although we like to believe that we have all this control and things happen, if you really reflect on your life, how much of the things that have occurred in your life do you really control? I would say 0%. 0%. Now we have some perspective going forward once we've encountered some things that have happened in our lives, but it's important that we know that God himself is the one who controls everything. And if God allows it, there's something that we ought to extract from it. And it doesn't always have to be it's not always positive. Sometimes it feels very, very negative, and you are entitled to those feelings. I think it's when we don't solidify our own feelings that we find ourselves more shameful instead of feeling more empowered with what we've learned and what we've experienced. See, my experiences as growing up in poverty and being a prostitute at the age of 15 years old, being sexually exploited, those things actually shaped and molded me in a way that I suppose regular circumstances could not. Because the thing is that I have so much more compassion for other women and girls than you could imagine because of what I've endured, because of the pricelessness of what was taken from me, because of what the feelings that I endured and the things that I had to climb through in order to get back on top of life and try to figure out how to move forward after you've been shamed, after you've been exploited, after you've been hurt in places that you didn't even know you could hurt in. How do I move from here? Um,
Yeah.
we grow and we get better when we give it away.
Well, you know
You
what? I
see,
I, I want to circle back because you said something. I don't want to miss this because this was key. You said sometimes God will allow us to go through some things, even though it hurts. And I think the misconception of religion, right? People always tell me, I hate religion. I'm like, good, I hate religion too, because I'm not about religion.
that's right.
And they don't expect that, right? I'm not about religion because religion is for man and not about God. But what you just said is that the reason I meant that comment is because sometimes in our religious beliefs, we're like, oh, well, God is just a loving God. He's a loving God, but he loves you
Yes.
so much that he'll let you go through some times of tribulation or trial to kill something off of you that needs to be killed off.
Come on. Come on.
And I personally have experienced that this past year. And it sucks. I mean, there's no other sugar coating it, right? You can't put sugar on crap and make it look like
Come
sugar.
on.
It doesn't work that way, right? But I'm like, God, where are you at?
Mhm.
But when I understood that the only way to get to the new Daniel was I had to go through the fire to kill what was holding me back inside. And we don't see
Yes.
that. And what am I talking about? This is what comes like I'll be honest as we're talking about it, right? Like part of me is that you're like, God, like I'm a tither, I'm a giver, Like, where are you? But that old Daniel didn't want to die. And I talked about that in our Millionaire Mind Bootcamp this past weekend, right? There's a part of you like a rose, right? When we cut the rose
Mhm.
off, is a rose dead or alive when you give it to your loved one? And half the room said alive, half of them said dead. And then one of them said, "Well, it's dead, but it has enough life." I said, "Well, what do you mean?" I go, "Well, I don't know. Just they're still kind of look beautiful, but the truth is this: the rose has enough life to still bloom.
Mm.
And in our lives, there's enough of the old Daniel, there's enough of the old Arletta that still wants to put up a fight. It's gonna bloom like hell because it's not gonna want to go down without a fight. And many
That's right.
times that's where that self-sabotage comes in. And the only way that old you is gonna die is because it has to be killed off. And sometimes it's those times of darkness, those times of that God allows because we need to go through that and it doesn't feel good.
No, and I think that's the struggle between the flesh and the spirit too. Because the flesh desires what it desires, but the spirit man desires what it desires. And there's always going to be a war within our members for which way to go, which way to be. But life will teach you. Life will teach you through experiences, through lived experiences, what is right and what is wrong, the things you yield yourself to and the things that you shouldn't yield yourself to. I'm in the midst of one of the greatest tribulations ever in my life right now, currently. Like I'm sitting in the midst of it. And I'll tell you something that I've learned so far. So far, I've learned that God needs to be the one that leads out on everything. I think ultimately that when we go through trials and tribulations, it's the relationship piece that God is teaching us. Because sometimes life will life so heavy that you don't have a choice but to go to your knees. You don't have a choice but to throw your hands up and surrender and say, hey, I tried it my way. I tried it my way. And maybe even more than once, but I'm tired. I'm tired of unresolved. I'm tired of still feeling empty after repeated damage over and over. And sometimes the choices we make damage the people that we love the most too. There are other people attached to our choices, and it hurts. It hurts to watch them endure. It hurts to watch you continue to circle about the same mountain you've compassed over and over and over. And you're asking God, at what point do I go northward? It's when you choose. When you choose to take your hands off of it and you throw your hands up and surrender and you let God know, hey, I did it my way. I think it's time I tried yours. It's the surrender for me. Life will happen. None of us are exempt. However, the victory is in the surrender. I took my hands off of it. I gave it over completely to God. I do not have my hands on it at all. I entrusted it because I trust God. And I know whatever the outcome will be, it's going to be in my best interest because my daddy loves me.
Yes. And
And
look,
I'm grounded in that.
I
You
love
know
what
what I'm
we're talking about because people, right? People are saying, well, like Arletta's sharing her story. I'm sharing my story.
saying?
And I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
guarantee you, as you're listening to us on the podcast here on the Daniel Gomez Inspire show, that this story is going to help people out there
Oh yeah.
because we think we're the only ones going through it. For some reason, we have the illusion that I'm the only one that's been through this or doing through that.
Yeah.
So write this down right now, ladies and gentlemen. What lie are you believing
Mm,
about your story? What lie are you believing that it's not going to help anybody? That the world doesn't need it? And whether you decide to be a speaker like Arletta and myself or put it into a book format and become an author like we both are. But some
yes.
people, you may be the only story in a book. You may be the only chapter somebody ever reads. And that one
Mm.
chapter will change and heal their life. And you're too ashamed of it. So you're not even sharing it.
Yeah, and it does a disservice. It does a disservice not only to those you are called to serve, but you. Because I tell you, as a professional speaker, every single time I take the stage and I share those vulnerable pieces with me, I cannot tell you of the people that come up to me afterwards and they wrap their arms around me and they tell me for a moment there, it was as if though you weren't there and all I saw was me. You help people to see themselves. It's like a magic trick being a speaker. Well, being an impactful speaker, I should say, because we master communication and we master our story, and we master a way and telling our story that helps people to not no longer see us, but to see them, see themselves. And so I tell all my speakers that if you have not learned that trick, then you're not where you need to be as far as skill set. Because people need to not people don't necessarily come to see you. People are looking to be made free. There's something in what you have to say. There's something in your story that is going to add healing, and it's going to add connection. And it's going to add a little bit more piece of comfort and encouragement and empowerment to individuals when you walk in that power. But if you're walking around timid and you're afraid of what it is that you carry, so much so that you're ashamed to open up your mouth and say that this is what really happened. And this is the part where it really wasn't pretty, but it really did happen just that way. But this is where I am today because of the fact that I didn't yield in shame. I didn't stay stuck. I didn't let that thing make me, but I did allow for it to accelerate me. Because of that, people will feel empowered. They will pull tools from your toolbox, and they'll take it and they'll begin to chisel away at their own lives, and they'll be made better. And guess what? They've been assigned to people.
Mm.
They've been assigned to people. So not only did you reach them, but you reached everything that's connected to them. You'll never know the value of your story until you pull those shoulders back and you take comfort and strength and knowing that I've been called for a purpose, and that purpose is impact. I am a world changer. I change lives with what I've endured,
Yes.
and I'm resolved with that. That's
So
my resolve. It's my purpose in life.
so what in the world happened that you were like, you come from where you come from, and then one day you're like, did you just wake up and say, I want to be a speaker? How did that come about? And you're a great
Well,
speaker too, by the way, right? I gotta give you props because I always, right? I said, like, man, put me in a room with Ed Milet, put me in a room with John Maxwell, put me in a room with these, because I can hold it, right? I can
yeah,
hold it.
yeah,
And like, and I don't say that in arrogance, but I know the power behind me.
yes,
But it's like you hear some speakers are like, man, they need some help. But I heard
yeah.
you, and I'm like she's pretty good.
Well, you know what? I've been around this mulberry bush for about 12 years now. So I didn't just start out yesterday. I've been doing this for quite a bit of time. And plus I train others, on getting that next level skill set so that they can communicate their stories effectively as well. And so it's about showing up and being that. But the transitional moment for me that really, really like seriously changed my life was not a moment sooner than it should have happened. And what I say is that everybody has a time. Everybody has a time. And sometimes people try to force their time out prematurely. You haven't endured enough. You haven't seen enough. You haven't experienced enough to stand at an expert level. People want to come out of the gate as an expert. You have to go through much more before you can attain that level of expertise. Because what it is you end up becoming inauthentic. And people are real, and people know BS when they hear it. And if you're out there trying to sell someone something that is not legitimate, something that is not authentic to who you really are, and you really haven't suffered through anything, you're born with the silver spoon in your mouth. You might have felt isolation, you might have felt some things, but have you felt the things that I felt? Have you gone through the neglect, the betrayal? Have you gone through the exploitation? Have you gone through the rejection? Like, one of the main things that really changed my story and made me who I am is experiencing rejection from my father at a young age. The whole bout with prostitution only happened because of the fact that my father abandoned me. You see, I pleaded with my mom. My mom was in a very abusive relationship with my father. And my father used to beat my mom daily, and not just her, but us too. And so I learned all the things that love was not. And I always ask the question, what do you do when you become an adult and love doesn't look the way that it was taught?
Mm.
How do you learn from nothing? How do you create your own story of what love looks like if you never really knew the truth of what it really was? Love from my household looked like alcoholism. Love from my household looked like my dad plugging up irons and burning my mom's skin and beating her until a bloody pulse. That's what love looked like. Love looked like miscarriages and babies being born prematurely and never thriving or living because of the beatings. Love looked like my father beating me, strapping me to tables and, treating me like I was trash and never receiving the validation as a woman. And so what that did is it sent me out to the streets looking for validation in all the wrong places. And I'll tell you this, there are a lot of men out there, but I want this specifically for the men. If you're out there and you got little girls, I will tell you something. Your word and everything about you is gold to your little girl. If you say it, she believes it. If you show her anything outside of what the truth is, she's going to believe you for what you show her. So you have a very critical position to hold by being a good father, by validating her before she gets out to the world and seeks validation in all the wrong places. I did that. And I spent a number of years being abused, being mishandled, being mistreated, and believing the lies I was being told about who I was. Until all of a sudden I had this wake-up call. Call it what it as it may be, but I literally got tired of being mishandled. I got tired of seeing the looks on my sons' faces. I have 5 sons, and all my sons look up to me. And my sons started to get angry on the inside for what they couldn't do to help me in the abusive relationships I was in. Something had to give. I couldn't see them fall, but I loved them more than I loved the circumstance I was in. I needed to be more for my children. And so that's what changed life for me. I wanted them to have better and more than what I had. And so I began to strive towards that direction. I no longer set my sights on me. I set my sights on them. My
Yeah.
children motivated me to want more, to become more, to do more, literally to unveil the truth of who I am. And it had to come with me pulling back the veil and not being ashamed of what I had gone through, because there were a number of women all over the world who were staying in circumstances and situations much longer than in seasons longer than what they've been called to serve in. Overstaying your welcome. Staying there because I got kids with this individual and I'm not going to leave because I don't want to break up the family. But you're having your face knocked off every single day. You're being broken in places that won't heal because of your willingness to stay, thinking that you're protecting the children, but you're teaching them much more by staying than you are by releasing and leaving.
Are you an aspiring speaker? Do you have a book that you've been wanting to write for months, maybe even years? Or are you an aspiring podcaster? You want to start that podcast like the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show and don't know where to start? Well, at Daniel Gomez Enterprises, we can help you do all three. We can help you become that paid speaker, share your story to the world, write your book, and get your podcast launched and help you produce it. We'd love to help you. Give us a call at 210-663-5954. That's 210-663-5954. We can help you become that paid speaker, write that book, and launch your podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call now. I love what you just said, and I want you to think about this, ladies and gentlemen. One of the biggest lies, by what you just said, this is what came to mind. One of the biggest lies we've been taught in the playground is this: sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And
Biggest lie.
I coach grown men, grown women, very successful in business, but they still go back to that thought pattern as a kid that their mom said, why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you be more beautiful like so-so? Why can't you be like your brother? You can't do anything right. And those words from those parents haunt them, and it causes them either A, they overstrive, right? Those are the overachievers that are trying to prove their mom wrong, trying to prove their dad wrong, or they go to the other side where they just like, they don't see their own value, their own worth, so they don't even try. Right? It depending on who they are. But let me ask you this: how has you becoming a professional speaker helped you heal on the process?
It's something so very liberating about sharing your story without boundaries, without walls. For me, the stage is the place I was born to stand on. And so when I go there, I'm simply having a conversation. I'm simply sharing and giving of myself. I don't see the crowd. I don't see the lights, the camera, the action. I see a moment where I get a chance to heal a little bit more. The thing with healing is that it's an ongoing process. And I don't care what people tell you, they can say what they want to say, but I'm telling you because of my lived experience that 15-year-old girl that was broken back then still strives each and every day today at 43 years old to try to be better, to be a better version of herself daily. I literally have to get up every day and choose me. I have to choose every day not to succumb to that thing that tries to pull me back into the darkness of what I used to be, how I used to be, how I used to think. I mean, it's a battle. It's a battle because I struggled with self-worth. I struggled with self-confidence and I struggled with worthiness. The thing is that when you think about your self-worth and being more confident, that is where the the stance of what I everything that I stand for is built surrounding define the odds in my life. Define the odds is where you're able to accomplish the very thing that somebody said that you couldn't do. And you know, Daniel, when you talked about that spectrum of people who either fall to the background or they become overachievers, I was the overachiever.
Yeah.
I when I tell you I became the star player in the entire family, I became the star player in the entire family. You know, anything that could be done, I was the first one to go and go to college and graduate college. Never been done in our family ever before. I was the first one to own my home. Never been any homeowners in our family before. I was the first person to serve on city council as a council person. And the history of the city that I live in, it's never been done, especially not a person of color. It's never been done. I was the very first. My name is etched on the walls of the college that I attended as communication student of the year. Will be forever there long after I'm gone. You know, there's things that I've done in my life. I wrote, I'm working on my third book right now. I became an author in the family. All these things generationally that had never occurred before me. I became those things. I became the light.
Yes.
I became the one that leads the way. I'm the beacon of hope in my family, and each family has one. And my question to you out there, the listeners, is that you? Are you the one who's been championed and chosen to be the beacon of light for your family? And are you willing to lead them out of darkness? Are you willing to show them that there's a different way, there's a better way? By sharing your story, by offering them what it is that you have, and that's the best of you. Are
Yes.
you willing to do that? And my thing is if you're going to defy the odds in every area of your life, you got to be willing to believe in yourself. You got to be willing to forgive yourself because I'm telling you, there's some things that happened in my backstory that I'm not proud of. There's some decisions that I made I'm not proud of, and those things do still haunt me today.
But you
But I
know,
make a solemn effort to overcome those daily.
you said something that I want people to hear. You've been chosen. Maybe you've been the one. You're the one in your family, the first one to go to college. You're the first one to do this. But what I want you to understand, maybe you're the first one that wants to be a speaker and people are laughing at you.
Mhm.
I think what I want them to understand by what you said, because that's very powerful, is that no one knows what it looks like in a family, Arletta, because no one's ever done it.
Mm.
And then you're the one, right? You're the chosen one. You're the championed one by
Yeah.
God. And then you speak up and everybody thinks you're crazy because
Mhm.
no one in the family knows what it looks like. No one, what do you mean you're going to be a speaker? Like, how stupid is that? Like, or what, you're going to go
Been
to
there.
college? Like, no, we don't go to, but then we share that story, that vision, like Joseph in the Bible, we share it with our own family and then they throw him in the pit.
Yeah.
Your vision, your dream is not to share with everybody sometimes, but I want people to understand what we just said. Write this down, right? When you're the one, your own family ain't gonna understand it.
That's right.
When you're the one, your own family doesn't know what it looks like. They've never seen success. They've never seen somebody go to college and walk it, so they're gonna not agree with you.
That's right.
It's like asking like your Aunt Mary and your Uncle Joe, what do you think about business? And they're both custodians. Nothing against custodians, but they don't even have that business way of thinking. And you're asking them for advice. Of course, they're going to tell you just go get a job because that's all they know. But they
Exactly.
don't know what it looks like.
That's right. And we've got to show them. We've got to show them. We've got to be who we've been created to be.
Oh, so how did you overcome that when you were like, I'm going to be the speaker, I'm going to speak up, I'm going to go out there and share my story? No one in your family has ever graduated, no one's become a speaker. Now you're this, like, what are one or two things that you can give our audience to kind of prepare them for what may come or probably is going to come at some point or another?
Well, that's the formula. That's what I teach. That is the epitome of who Arletta is, and that's define the odds. I have a 7-step method that I actually utilized in my life, and I had to look back. I had to reflect on what I had gone through and what were the actual steps that I took. I had to analyze my own story. And so the very first thing that I did is that I learned to believe in myself. I learned that there was not always going to be a cheerleading section, right? And sometimes I needed to wake up and champion my own cause, because sometimes the
Say
people
that
that are
again.
around
That was good. That was a boom right there. There's not always going to be your cheerleading section, ladies and gentlemen. Get over it.
be, be your own.
Sometimes you got to cheer yourself on.
Come on. What are you talking about? Sometimes, all the time, you got to cheer yourself on. Because I'm telling you, sometimes Arletta don't want to get out of the bed.
So
Arletta don't want to get up. I'd rather lay
I'm
here.
just gonna hang out with you, and you can cheer me on. So I'll take that.
It's just, don't we wish it worked that way? It just doesn't work that way. You're not going to have a cheerleading section. You have to believe in yourself. Believing in yourself means believing in your own capability. Only you know what you're capable of accomplishing, and only you can define that. Have you taken the time to define what it is that you believe that you were put here on this earth to accomplish? And how often are you getting up each and every day and setting yourself after that goal? First thing, believing yourself. Second thing is forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for the things and places where you fell short, the times that you didn't always make the right choices, and understanding that forgiveness is not just for someone else, but forgiveness is for you. You learn to treat yourself like someone you love. That's the biggest thing that if you don't hear nothing else I tell you today, I want you to take this and I want you to run with it. Keep it with you forever. Treat yourself like someone you love. If you wouldn't do it to them, if you wouldn't handle your children that way, if you wouldn't handle your mother that way, if you wouldn't handle your spouse that way, do not handle you that way. The same compassion and love that you give to others, you are worthy of it too. Keep that on the forefront of your mind and heart as you strive to try to make it from level to level to level to level, because you're going to need, that is the fuel that is going to empower you and equip you to keep going. The third thing you're going to want to do is to continue to be more confident. Be confident in your abilities. Show up with those shoulders revved back and that head tipped high, because you're not defined by your past. You're not defined by what family you come from. You're not defined by your last name. You're not defined by your family's mistakes or their shortcomings. You are you, and you are you for a reason. You are your own person. Be that person. The next thing you're going to want to do is change your mindset. I lived in scarcity mindset for a number of years, where I counted myself not only financially unworthy, but unworthy in general. I had to make a decision to make the transition from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset. That's where I tell myself and I make decisions and choices that align with the fact that I know that I'm worthy of having not only enough, but more than enough. Because I had a desire to want to help people from my overflow and from the abundance that God has given me, not from just having enough. I needed more. And so therefore I had to believe that I deserved more in order for me to attract more. So that's the type of millionaire mindset that we're talking about when we're talking about making that transition and changing your mindset. Those are some of the requirements. How do you see yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How do you handle yourself? Number 5 is, how do you celebrate yourself? The only way for you to celebrate any goal that you've completed or attained, you have to be willing to set a measuring tool to it. Is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Is it relevant? And is it time bound? When you're setting goals, if you can't celebrate what you haven't measured. So how do you even know you accomplished anything if you haven't set the goal and figured out ways to know when you've actually met the mark? So celebrate yourself. Number 6 is letting go of the past. I have a real big secret for you, and I'm going to share this real quick. The secret is that you can't go back there and change anything that happened back there. You can only live for today. Nothing back there adds value to you. All it does is keep you bound and keep you stuck and keep you stagnant. If you don't learn how to let go of the past will define your future. And listen to me, if you've had a painful past like I've had a painful past, you don't want that for your future. So therefore, you've got to do something different. If you want different results, you've got to do something different. Let go. Let go. Trust God with it. The ugly, the beautiful, the madness, the craziness, all of it. Just let God have it, and you continue to walk forward, because your destiny is up ahead of you and you got someplace you got to go. And the last principle that you're going to activate is stepping into your purpose. But stepping into your purpose can't come until you've activated all 6 prior steps. You've got to let go of the things that are bounding you. You've got to learn how to believe in yourself. You've got to be more confident. You've got to make the transition in your mindset. And lastly, you've got to learn how to celebrate yourself. So once you do all those things, then you'll gladly step into your purpose, and you'll never look back, and you'll change the blueprint of what your family looks like from this
Boom,
point.
baby. Woo!
Just-
Man, and look at that. Just like that. She brought the fire today. So much wisdom, Arletta. So much wisdom. I could sit here and talk to you forever. I'm gonna have to bring you back for another episode, because this is but you know, people needed to hear that today, because we're too hard on ourselves. We're too negative sometimes, and we wonder why our life isn't the way it is. We undervalue our story. We don't share our story, and everything that you are and who you are becoming is because of your story.
yes, yes,
What
yes.
is what is a scripture or a verse that you rely on, or a quote, right? A scripture or a quote that you rely on times of adversity.
At times of adversity, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths with an S.
If
There's several of them.
someone heard this episode, they want to connect with you. How do we connect with Arletta Allen?
You can reach out to me on my website, www.arlettaallen.com, and you can follow me on all social sites at Arletta Allen Inspires.
I love it. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna have her information in our show notes. And this was just fire. I'm gonna go back. But I think what I really want you audience to take back is, are you gonna be the one
Mm.
that is chosen, but to choose to be the chosen? Right? Because we can be chosen, but then we don't receive it, and we don't choose to be the chosen, because it doesn't look the way everybody else thinks it's supposed to look. And because it doesn't look that way to them,
Yeah.
we don't get the baton and keep running. We just stop, because they don't understand. Understand this, that if God put that dream in your heart, if God gave you that idea, they're going to laugh at you sometimes before they applaud you. It's not going to make sense. They're not going to understand, because you're the first. And when you're the first, no one knows what it's fit like. Think about this as we close this episode. The Wright brothers wanted to take a piece of metal with wheels and make it fly in the air. People thought they were ridiculously crazy. They thought they were insane. And look at now. We fly in private jets because of the Wright brothers, that were laughed at and ridiculed and made fun of, and even kicked out of society in some areas. Don't let that be you. You follow your dream. What a wrap. What a wrap with Arletta Allen. Until next week.
Yes.
Thank you, Arletta, for being here with us. Man, I just love this episode. It was straight fire. Thank you for joining us.
It was
I
such
give
a
you a round
pleasure.
of applause. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week with another amazing guest. Just like Arletta, remember, if you're stuck in life, if you're stuck in business, get a copy of our book on Audible, The Making of
Yes.
a Millionaire Mind, or go to our website, get the powerful course. We've sold thousands of our course, our online program, The Makings of a Millionairemind.com. Get our 27 modules that'll transform your life. And we talked about speaking. If you want to be that speaker coming up September 13th and 14th here in San Antonio, coming up here in a couple of months, we want to see you. We want to help you not just become a speaker, but build your speaking business. Until next week,
Yes.
another amazing episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week, ladies and gentlemen. God bless. This is Daniel Gomez Inspires, and thank you for listening to our show today. Please share this episode with a friend, leave us a review, and subscribe to our show. And for listening to our show today, I want to give you a free gift. I want to invite you to our Millionaire Mind community. Text the word millionaire, that's millionaire, to 210-942-5059. Yes, join our community today and receive millionaire affirmations, inspirational quotes on a weekly basis. That's 210-942-5059. Text the word millionaire today and join our community. And once again, thank you for listening to our show.